Denver Sheriff Patrick Firman has announced that he will resign on October 14th. Firman has been under fire recently for an incident in a Denver jail where an incarcerated woman was forced to give birth alone in a cell. He has also faced a lawsuit by women deputies for allowing an environment of sexual harassment and threats by male inmates. Patty, there's a stack of scandals here that Firman is clearly facing, but the whole idea of, it's the David Kopel question, should the Denver sheriff be elected? It's getting a lot more play. It's not just David Kopel anymore. Is this going to bring up that conversation again, or is this simply a Mayor Hancock issue?
Well, I would think probably Mayor Hancock might be the happiest to have someone do that so he doesn't have to live with this for the next 4 years. Let's remember when Patrick Firman came in, it was almost exactly 4 years ago, into a scandal-ridden sheriff's department. 4 years into Hancock's term, so Hancock had had some time. Many of the same kinds of complaints, including some deaths, some bad handling, some misbehavior. But really, the straw that breaks the camel's back in this case has to be the fact that women who worked there, it wasn't just they were treating inmates wrong, but also their own workers in a hostile environment. So it's not a surprise that Patrick Firman is going. I think probably maybe the Independence Institute will put forward that motion to have an elected sheriff. Not a good start really for Hancock's first couple months when you think we've got the DIA delay. I-70 isn't his fault, but we've got that delay, and now yet another sheriff gone.
It begs the question, did Hancock really want a third term, or this is the way it's going to be starting? Krista, what do you think, where do you think Hancock needs to go from here? Does he need to think really outside the box? He has an interim sheriff right now, I forget her name, Fran Gomez, thank you. I'm not just saying that a woman solves the problem, but at the very least, we're going to get some of the things addressed. What do you think is the best next step?
Well, it helps. I think putting a woman into that interim position and then even considering advancing her to full sheriff at the right time. And to be honest, Sheriff Firman did do some good things. He came in at a difficult time. He did put in some training. He did do some work. But I think it's left to the next person to be able to take those to the next level. Because over the last 4 years, although not as bad as when he came in, we do have the scandals, most recently the woman that had the baby. You had a man that was killed. You also have an illegal immigrant that was released who had killed somebody in a hit and run before he could be apprehended by the feds. So there are things that need to change. Fran Gomez just might be the person to do that.
Eric, what do you think is Hancock's best play here? He has to take control of it, but we are hearing from more people than just David Kopel anymore that the Denver sheriff should be elected. How does he handle this?
We'll see how he handles it. I mean, we've seen one shoe, but the more important shoe is who gets appointed to this position. My gut tells me this is more complicated, probably, than perhaps meets the eye. Krista is right. I think Patrick Firman was hired as a sort of a reformer and has been a reformer. I don't know. Reformers aren't always that popular. I don't know that he ever won over the support of the rank and file in the sheriff's department. I think that constant opposition or has drained him, and I think now he has also lost support not only of the rank and file but within City Hall. The settlements we're talking about, the lawsuits we're talking about are obviously serious cases, and the taxpayers of Denver are putting out serious money. Hancock, yes, is a lame duck. He's not really a lame duck yet. He'll become more of a lame duck perhaps 2 years into this final 4-year term. But he doesn't have to face the voters again, at least in this capacity. So in some ways it's liberating. He can do what he wants. If he wants another reformer, he can do that. My suspicion is more he'll want somebody to just quiet the fervor, make nice with the rank and file officers, the rank and file sheriffs, and just make this thing go off the front page. I'm not sure it's heading off the front page.
Wendy, this seems like an opportunity to have a dialogue with the community about this. I don't know if that will happen. What do you think?
I mean, I think it absolutely should. It's been interesting to see some of the reactions, around electing the sheriff. We saw Councilmember Sita Baca, call for the Denver sheriff to be elected. We also saw one of her best friends in the world, Elizabeth Epps, and a criminal justice reformer, say, well, I think that those elections might be, might be a problem since we see how much corporate money and other outside influences participate in our elections. So I think, Elizabeth had an interesting suggestion, which was that we really need a process in which the city council, the independent monitor, and the community are really engaged in this sheriff selection process. And I think that is probably the right way forward, that we figure out a way to get more voices at the table in that sheriff selection process.